everybody. Welcome back to the Odyssey. Um, our readings this week were from books 5 through books 13. We finally get to meet Odysseus and learn about the 10 years that he's been missing. When we see him, he has arrived. He's on the island of Calypso. As her captive. He's been there for about 7 years. And Hermes comes and tells Calypso, hey, you better let him loose. Zeus has decided that you can't keep him anymore. And the Fates, whose story even the gods can't alter, have said that he is not fated to stay there forever. He has a destiny back in Ithaca. And so Odysseus builds a raft. He's sent off to sea with a good wind, but Poseidon is still angry at him, and we learn in these books why Poseidon is angry at him. Again, back to the present narrative, he arrives in Phaeacia after a long struggle, naked, and encounters the princess Nausicaa. Nausicaa is an interesting character, one of the few female characters in the Odyssey that we get to see inside of her head. We also see inside of Penelope's head later, her thoughts and things such as that. Again, the Odyssey is a morality tale. It was read by many youths in Greece at the time. Taught them proper customs, proper manners, things such as that. And so Nausicaa is an exemplary model of what a young virgin woman should be like, what a young virgin princess should be like. And she conducts herself rightly on several occasions. Odysseus is in the awkward situation and he has to approach her naked. And the usual nature of supplicants is that they reach and grab the knees of those whom they're supplicating, and they beg for mercy. And Zeus protects supplicants so that the mercy should be given, or else face the wrath of Zeus. But of course, in this situation, he doesn't want to do that. So we see that Odysseus, again, is cunning, wily, all of those things, and cognizant. You see that some mores, you can bend them. And then, of course, he's sent under disguise to Alcinous, to the house of Alcinous, where he grabs Nausicaa's mother's legs and pleads for mercy, and it's granted. Here we see more hospitality. Odysseus is granted hospitality by Alcinous. He's fed. He's housed. They give him many gifts, even so many gifts that they actually have to levy a tax in order to pay for some of these gifts. So this is what people of a civilized nature do. And that will be set in sharp contrast to what we see in the land of the Cyclopes. And Cyclopes is plural of Cyclops, by the way. In the land of the Cyclopes, Polyphemus, the son of Poseidon, is not afraid of the gods, is not afraid of Zeus. And he will not show any real hospitality, eats men, and he says, sure, the way I'll give you some hospitality is that I'll eat you last, Odysseus. That'll be my gift to you. Or no man is how he knows him at the time. In any case, back to Alcinous and the Phaeacians. There are curious people favored by Poseidon. Of course, it's interesting to note that Poseidon has his heart set against Odysseus, so they will lose favor with Poseidon ultimately. And their city will be put inside of a mountain, and the ships won't be giving safe passage to strangers anymore. Back of the Phaeacians, Odysseus tells his tale, and that for the remaining books that I asked y'all to read, it's almost entirely Odysseus's tale to the Phaeacians. What have I been doing all this time? And he tells the story, they say, in a true bard-like nature. Looking at some of his stories, we learn of the geography of that the Greeks thought of at the time, the different lands and things that they knew of, and what they thought of the people there. Of course, some of it is myths, with the Lystrygonians, for instance, these giants, the Cyclopes, things such as that. Myths of foreign lands. But we learn a lot about the geography that the Greeks thought at the time. We see these various cultures and people represented, and they're often we see people who are civilized and people who are not civilized, and many of these little tales have little morals within them. So thinking about the tale of the Lotus Eaters, for instance, he goes to that land, and it's important to and his men eat the lotus, and they become lazy and they don't care to go back home, and the story communicates the message that it's important to keep the ultimate goal in mind. Don't get lazy. Remember what you're set out to do. And the most important moral probably is in the story with Odysseus and Polyphemus, where he finally at the end tells Polyphemus his name. And that's Odysseus's great mistake. Had he have concealed his name, then Polyphemus wouldn't have known who to curse, and Poseidon may not have known that it was Odysseus who did it, who blinded his son. But Odysseus is boastful, prideful, arrogant, and shouts out his name, and that's his due. So, one of the more important passages, of course, is the land of the Cyclopes, and I think it's cool to take a look at pages 273 through 274, and you see what their land is like. Lines 105. The Cyclopes are called lawless savages who leave everything up to the gods. These people neither plow nor plant, but everything grows up for them unsown. Kind of like the Garden of Eden. They have no assemblies or laws, but live in high mountain caves, ruling their own children and wives and ignoring each other. So these people are contrasted with men who are civilized. We see they have no laws, no assemblies. They ignore each other. The land would be fertile. It's unsown, virgin forever, looking down a little further. All it does is support those bleeding goats. It could have been good land to plant, but they don't. They don't sail. They don't have craftsmen. So they don't get other things from across the seas, and they don't visit other people. These same craftsmen, moving on to the next page, would have made it a good settlement. It would have been a great place had it been civilized, but these people are far from that. Another passage to look at is um, how Odysseus's men continually mutiny. And it's a warning against mutiny. The story says that you should listen to your captain and do what he says. We see every time he turns his back, he falls asleep. They go off and they eat the cattle of the sun, or they open the bag of winds that was given to Odysseus by Aeolus. And we see their thoughts on Odysseus on page 284, line 45. This guy gets everything wherever he goes. First, he's freighting home his loot from Troy, beautiful stuff, while we who made the same trip are coming home empty-handed. And now Aeolus has lavished these gifts upon him. Let's see what's in here. And it's their doom. It sends them back to Aeolus just as soon as they saw Ithaca on the horizon. Circe, the encounter with Circe is an interesting one. We see some of Odysseus's tricks. He is advised to go to Circe and to sleep in the bed with her. And he's worried that she's going to take his vitality away. And this echoes the scene in Epic of Gilgamesh where where Shamhat drains Enkidu of his vitality as well. So women were thought to weaken men at the time. And since we're talking about how women are characterized in the Odyssey and other works, moving forward a little bit, we see some famous women in Book 8, in Book 9, I should say, when Odysseus goes to the underworld. And that's a really curious section of the book there. He encounters his mother, who is a woman who dies of grief for him. So ideal mothers should love their children very much and mourn them. We see other women of fame on pages 302 and 303. Epicasta, who is infamous in that sense. There's Chloris and other women who are famous because of the children that they bear. And so women are known best by the deeds that their children do, not by their own deeds so much, but more by their children and their legacy. The other women who are known not by their children are usually known poorly. So pages 306 through 307, Agamemnon says that Clytemnestra, his wife, who murdered him, has shamed all women to come, even the rare good one. And he advises Odysseus not to trust women. He says, don't go easy on your wife either. This is 307. Or tell her everything you know. Tell her some things, but keep others hidden. And so he says, don't trust women. Don't tell them everything. And as a matter of fact, this passage here anticipates the test that Odysseus will perform on his wife and everyone else on Ithaca, to see if they're loyal to him. So that section's really curious because we encounter a lot of great heroes. The section where Odysseus goes to the underworld. We learn the immaterial nature of shades, of ghosts. We learn about the afterlife and the Greeks' conception of things. It's not in the Romans' conception, which we'll read about them later. It's a little bit more blissful and happy. But here, even the great Achilles says on page 308, line 510, "Don't try to sell me on death, Odysseus. I'd rather be a hired hand back up on earth slaving away for some poor dirt farmer than to lord it over all of these withered dead." So the Greek afterlife is very bleak. There are a few who get to travel to Elysian fields, but these are very few. So, also Odysseus is warned by Tiresias the dangers he will encounter on page 299, and we get to see how Odysseus will finally appease Poseidon. And this is a cool passage, line 125. Odysseus is told to take an oar to a very far away land, and whenever he encounters someone who thinks it's a winnowing fan, then he should plant it up and perform sacrifices. So Odysseus is a missionary for Poseidon. He's supposed to go to some land that's so far away from the ocean that nobody's ever heard of an oar, and to show these people that teach these people about the god Poseidon. So that's an interesting passage again. Moving forward, we leave the underworld, and Odysseus at that point runs into the cattle of the sun, warns his men not to eat them, and they do, of course. And bad things happen after that, for sure. It's a really cool passage where they're roasting the cattle, and the skin is crawling, and the meat is mooing on the spits. Really creepy there. And the god Helios threatens to hide the sun if Zeus doesn't do anything about this, and he promises, okay, we'll do something about this. We'll kill these men. Another hardship they encounter is Scylla and Charybdis and the Sirens. These are worth noting as well. That's where some believe the famous passage between a rock and a hard place came to be. Odysseus was literally between a rock and a hard place, with the whirlpool on one side and the monster on the other, and he had to sacrifice the good of the many for the bad of the few. Again, being an example of cunning and wisdom and what a good captain should do. There's some other curious people in the underworld that are worth noting. Sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit. Heracles, or Hercules, of course, performed the 12 labors. And we see punishments of various people, such as Tantalus and Sisyphus. So for the underworld, many people are punished. It's like hell for some. Finally, the Phaeacians bid Odysseus a fond farewell, give him more gifts than he would have gotten in Troy had he stayed there, and send him on to the land of Ithaca. He awakes there, and Athena disguises it to where he doesn't recognize it, and she provides him prudent advice, which he will heed in the coming in the last half of the Odyssey. Um, and it anticipates all of the tests that he will perform on all of his servants and his wife, etc., and the suitors. And now we're shifting toward the final half of the Odyssey, where Odysseus is on Ithaca, but he's dressed as a beggar. And looking forward to that part next week. So far, the class is going pretty swimmingly. Let me know how I can help. I'm here to help. And so I hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.